Hi, this is Tookie Blue Eyes, and thanks for tuning in today. The weather's cleared up a little bit, for now anyway, and the wind's not blowing so bad, so I thought I would come out here and use up some of the sunshine, since I haven't seen much of it in the last few days, to make a primitive bow, like a bow and arrow bow. And what we've got here is some jute twine, and I don't think that's going to be useful for the actual string of the bow, but it can come in useful for use as a handle. We have a small hand plane that works out really well, some wood glue, a tape measure, a pencil for marking, and here we have, it's 4 feet long and it's oak. That'll be thinned down a lot, that's way too thick, but it'll be thinned down a lot. And this is a 2 foot long piece of poplar. And let's get started, and I'll show you that as we go along. Now I like to do a little bit of shaping before I glue the pieces together. And if you can see that we have a tapered end, and this is the 2 foot long piece of poplar. And you just kind of shape it to where it's got a small ends there, as you can see. You just take your hand plane and you gently run it along. I gotta find the grain of the wood. Go with the grain of the wood. And you just run it along gently, shaping the piece until you've got, like I said, the small edges there. You're going to do the same thing, basically rounding out the edges of your oak here, which I've already started. And there's going to be a lot of thinning down to do. This is way too thick to actually be of any use. So you're going to want to thin that down quite a bit until it will bend equally all throughout the whole bow. You don't want it bending at just one end or the other. You want it to bend. Now when you're done shaping down your pieces a little bit, make sure you leave a flat edge so that the two edges are flush together. You spread your glue evenly in between the two. You snap them together, and if you don't have hand clamps, you can just use the twine and use twigs to twist with, and that will hold it down flush. And you're going to want to leave these set up for about 24 hours, because if you try to work with it before your 24 hours is up, they're going to snap apart and you're going to have a problem. When you're all done gluing, see, I started one before this to see how it would come out. I'm actually making 3 of them, 1 for a child and 2 for an adult, 1 for me. And as you can see, this comes out a lot thinner. Once you've thinned it down enough, the poplar kind of acts as a stabilizer, you know, to make the middle part a little bit more sturdy than the rest of it. And basically what you come up with is your basic bow, and at the ends you're going to want to cut notches, because this is where you're going to put your string. Whether you use yucca string that you make yourself, or you can try the jute twine. I've used it. It's not really that sturdy. Sinew does the best job, and you can find sinew at any hardware store. Ace, True Value. You can find it there, or you can use paracord. Generally, sometimes I'll use the paracord. This is going to need a little bit more shaping, because it'll bend at both ends, but it doesn't bend in the center, so I'm going to have to narrow down the center a little bit. And basically what we're doing is thinning this first bow down enough to where it'll bend in the center. The center part is still a little too thick. The rest of it's good to go. As you can see, this end bends pretty good, pretty sturdy. It'll bend all the way up to about the center, and then it doesn't bend anymore. So, if it were green wood, we could shape it better, if I had a seam box, that would work to shape it. But otherwise, I don't have either of those materials, so I've got to shape it down. And you know, if you were out in the bush and you had to make one of these on your own and you didn't have any green wood or whatever the case may be, you'd have to thin it down like this as it was to get it to bend properly, because if it doesn't bend properly, it won't shoot the way you want it to. You won't get much distance out of it. So that's why it's very important for the whole bow to actually bend and not just the end part. And I don't know if you can see that, but for all the wood that we actually started out with, that's what we end up with. And basically the wood that I used was just leftovers from another project that I had done. If you're going to go out to the lumber yard and get you your own, I would suggest buying trim pieces, because then it's already cut pretty thin for you. You don't have to do that much work to actually get that finished product. But as you can see now, we do have a uniform bend throughout the whole center. We're just going to put line on that now, and I'm going to show you how that works. Okay, now we've come up with a uniform bend. Here I'm just using the paracord rather than the jute twine. I'll probably use the jute twine to reinforce the handle a little bit, give it a little grip. But as you can see, we have a pretty good uniform bend to that bow. And once I get an arrow, that will have some good yardage to it. Nice and strong. You know, you don't hear it cracking. Like I said, it bends throughout the whole of it. So that'll work out really nice. I'm going to make an arrow, and once that arrow is made, or as I go along making the arrow, I will show you that in another video. And then we'll do another video that shows you how well the bow actually shoots. And also I wanted to show you all this excess that we have down here. What I've been doing is saving it. And those shavings will actually make a really good for your garden. And they also make a really good tinder, so you may want to save that. I do. Beats blowing around the yard. So this has been Tookie Blue Eyes, and this, of course, is my new bow. I'm going to have to trim that bit of paracord down there. I think I'm going to make some yucca twine to go ahead, either that or go and get some sinew for the string itself. I'll update you on that as I finish the arrow. And like I said, this one will set up, and this will be an adult bow. And all you need is your wood glue, tape measure, pencil for your marking, a little bit of twine. You can make it yourself or buy it. You can use this for your string. It's not very strong, I'll warn you ahead of time. Or you wind it around the handle in a spiral formation like this, and it'll reinforce the handle if you didn't get your gluing down right. And this is what I started out with. This one here will probably end up being the child's bow that I'm going to make. So thanks for tuning in. This has been Tookie Blue Eyes, and this has been my showing you how to make a bow, a primitive bow. Stay tuned for a video later on how to make a primitive arrow and a primitive arrowhead, as well on how to shoot it.